Hello and welcome back to Will, A Wonderful World. It's been a while since our last recorded, so don't be surprised if none of the voices of any of the characters resemble the voice they had before. I can remember for a couple of them, but, well, we'll see. Oh. That sounds like a weird cat, but sure. And Jung Young Ning. Alright. Yep. Sure. Rain and Tears. I was a stray kitten. Daddy called me Spotty. Daddy was like a daddy to me. He was an older homeless cat who had always taken care of me. Ever since he found me, he would always bring me with him wherever he went. He had given me my name too. He had told me it was because of the yellow spots on my tail. Whenever we found some goodies, Daddy would always let me have the first bite. He would stroke my head and tell me, "Kiddo, help yourself. You're only 3 months old. You need more food to grow up." I always liked Daddy the best. Today, Daddy was going to take me to the hill and catch some birdies, but it started raining heavily. Daddy said that because of the rain, the birdies wouldn't come out for their sunbath today. So we had to go back to the street like yesterday and look for some goodies to eat. I hoped we could find more tasty chicken legs and fish steaks. Meow. Unlike in the wild, there are many two-legged animals walking on the street. Daddy told me they are called humans. Because of the humans, the street was always very crowded all day and all night. Sometimes when we came to a place where there were a lot of humans, a few female humans would excitedly meow at me. What a cutie! And if I let them touch my head with their paws, I could often get some goodies too. But Daddy always warned me to keep my distance from them. Daddy said that humans are not to be trusted. The street was just across the road. I could see the shop with the fish sign from here. But we had to wait for the light to change. Daddy explained that the traffic laws in Korea are very strict. The fine is over 20,000. If we were caught, even if we turned in all of our hidden dried fish trees, it wouldn't be enough. There were many iron beasts running so fast in the streets. Daddy said those beasts are made by humans and they are called cars. They're very dangerous and we must be careful not to get hit. So we must obey the law. Meow. The light finally turned green. I sprinted a little and went ahead. Daddy followed me slowly. He was a little old and he had been injured before, so he couldn't see very well. A beast near us suddenly let out a huge roar, bang, and smoke came out from under it. Cats, do they have pointy ears and a long tail? Yes. And they know how to watch the traffic lights? Yes. They know how to write letters too? Good question. Maybe they can write in their own language. We're gods, so we will always receive the translated version of their letters. That's fascinating. I wonder what the original letter looks like. A bunch of paw prints on a piece of paper, I imagine. The beast seemed to have suddenly become shorter and it was charging directly towards Daddy, screeching and screaming. But it was green light, meow. The ground was covered with water and it was very slippery. I heard a sound like ship. I looked back. He had slipped. I ran over, trying to grab him. The beast ran over Daddy in an instant. It didn't stop until it was almost at the crossing. A human kid opened the door on the beast and ran towards me and Daddy. "Please help, Daddy." I meowed at him for help, but the kid tripped just a few steps away from us. I recognized him. His name was Park Sang-gun. We lived nearby. I often got goodies from him. He was a good kid. He would help Daddy for sure. I kept meowing louder and louder, and a few more adult humans in white coats followed him out of the beast. I thought they were all coming to help me and my daddy, but they stopped at where Sang-gun fell and pinned him on the ground. While they were trying to drag him away, I saw a big dark red scar on the back of his neck. I had seen people in his home beat him. I didn't know he had been hurt so badly. Sang-gun was dragged away by the white-coated humans and thrown inside the beast once again. And then the beast just ran away. The whole time nobody had even heard me meowing for help. I saw Daddy lying in his own blood. I almost couldn't recognize him anymore. I cried. "Please take Daddy to the hospital. Please, someone." The humans walked by, glanced at us, and kept walking. It was like they couldn't even see us or hear us anymore. Some humans covered their noses as if they had seen a dead rat. They were not like this before. They used to like touching our heads with their paws. Why? Why? Was Daddy right? Were humans really not to be trusted? God, please help Daddy. Spotty. Okay, next letter. Our little police officer. Wait, weren't you suspended or something? I thought the lieutenant... Oh, no, there was that other scenario that happened and then that solved everything. Yeah, okay. I thought the lieutenant would commend me for resolving a crisis on my first day. Instead, I was scolded in front of the entire office as soon as I got back from the scene. I was even told to write a discipline report. And it had to be at least 10,000 words long. Jeez, that's a long discipline report. That would be how many pages would that be in a book? Like 30, 40? That's long. I'd always hated writing. I'd rather run 100 laps on the field. I mean, the point of a punishment is to be something that you don't like doing. So I decided to simply Google similar reports online without the lieutenant noticing. Bad idea. After lots of copying, pasting and rearranging, I finally completed the 10,000 word report. I felt exhausted afterwards, so I went to the bathroom to wash my face. I could still feel the impact to my organs after falling on the cushion. Fortunately, I was fit enough to endure it. A regular person would probably have to stay in the hospital for a few days. I looked in the mirror and saw the band-aid on my face. I gave myself a proud smile. I was just getting out of the bathroom when I witnessed something incredible with my own eyes. Lieutenant Kang was holding a folder in front of him. Even though his face was mostly hidden behind it, I could still clearly see his expression from where I was. The cigarette he had in his mouth was slightly twisted. Some watery stuff was coming out from his eyes. They were without a doubt tears. Is this really the eccentric dictator that I had been hearing about? And should I leave the room now? Should I? Officer Min Jun had left the office a while ago. The lieutenant must have thought I had gone home too. If he saw that I was still in the office right now, would he kill me for seeing all that? I was still struggling with the most difficult decision in the history of mankind when Lieutenant Kang closed the folder. I quickly hid back in the bathroom and didn't come back out until I heard him walking out of the office wing. I looked around the office and realized that I was alone. I couldn't help but start walking closer to Lieutenant Kang's desk without even realizing it myself. The folder was still on the desk. It was a red folder. It said Archives of Criminal Investigation Unit 2 on its cover. Unit 2. I heard that a few years ago the entirety of Unit 2 had been killed in a violent incident. Afterwards, Unit 2 became the only unit in the Busan Police Criminal Investigation Department that had a designation but no members. Some people called it a ghost unit. Due to the severity of the case, no one in the station would talk about it, especially the older officers who had been at the precinct when it happened. Why did Lieutenant Kang care so much about Unit 2? Had he lost some colleagues during the incident? Wait, why did I care? No, you should care. It had nothing to do with me. I should just mind my own business. I went back to my seat. I created a new document on my computer. Then I typed the title, Unit Transfer Request. But I couldn't think of another word afterwards. My brain was totally blank. It must have been worn out after writing that damned report today. I was straining my brain to figure out what to say next when a big hand slapped my shoulder. Yo, the new guy at Unit 4 is working hard. I wish my people could be half as diligent as you. The voice sounded as loud and powerful as a booming bullhorn. I almost jumped out of my skin when I suddenly heard it behind my back. I turned around. It was Lieutenant Kim Jong-ho of Unit 3. I stood up from the chair quickly and gave him a salute. He waved his hand. Young man, no need to be so formal. Go take a bath and rest in the spa. Don't work too hard. I checked the time. I didn't even realize it was almost 11 p.m. The spa room inside the precinct was even bigger than my apartment. It was incredibly clean. It would be incredible to finish the day with a hot bath. I breathed in the steam, looking forward to a relaxing evening. Evening? It's night. Then I took off my clothes and stuffed them inside a locker. I closed the locker door and turned around. Lieutenant Kang was right there. He just got undressed. He was in great shape, with lean muscles all over his body. Okay, game, where are you going? I didn't want to admit it, but when he was not screaming at me, Lieutenant Kang was actually a rather handsome man, despite being a little disheveled. I used to hear a rumor that, despite his peculiar personality, he was still able to keep his position in no small part thanks to the solid support from the female police officers in the Criminal Investigation Unit. I guess that made sense. I had already witnessed the female officers from other units smiling at the lieutenant in the hallway quite a few times on my first day alone. Why didn't anyone smile at me? How many reasons do you want? Speaking of which, not only was Unit 4 a small team, it was also a sausage unit. If only we had an awesome female officer in the unit as well. I hadn't talked to Lieutenant Kang after he yelled at me that afternoon. Yet now we were standing in front of each other, completely naked. This was not awkward at all. We got in and out of the hot tub after a spa session that seemed to last forever, then we went back to the locker room. We put on our clothes and we were about to leave. We never said a word to each other the whole time. I was hoping that I could relieve some of the tension between us. May I write a letter to him? Why? I want to ask for a picture of his boss next time. I suppose I was too naive. A piece of soap appeared out of nowhere and stopped near us. He reached out. I was taking my clothes out of my locker when I heard a noise. I turned around and saw what just happened. My eyes involuntarily looked down. I looked back at myself, and then looked at the lieutenant again. This time our eyes met, and I could see something menacing in his eyes. Oh my god! I didn't do it on purpose, and I didn't even see anything. Okay, fine, actually I did see something, but I really didn't mean to. I was so screwed. Even if my request to transfer was approved, I wouldn't be able to get out tomorrow. Maybe tonight. The lieutenant would just kill me. Please, Buddha. Please tell me, what should I do? What exactly did he see? I have no idea. Alright. This guy. Can he ever do anything right? Alright, let's help the poor cat first. It was green light. Piece of soap appeared out of nowhere and stopped near us. Maybe this? I mean, that could work. I don't know what that does, but this might work. Oh, this just doesn't do anything. Alright. The locker room was filled with steam that was drifting through from the spa. Oh, that and the same awkwardness. We remained silent until we both left the locker room. I was hoping to relax myself, but I felt even more tense now. Okay. Let's see. Sure. Let's go. Lieutenant Kang rolled his eyes at me and stood back up by himself. He then got dressed and left the locker room. I froze and stood there like a statue. Did I just do something that I shouldn't have done? No. Or did I just forget to do something I should have done? Oh god, I had no idea which one it was. Oh boy, was my career over? The round feet of the beast happened to step on some soap. The beast suddenly turned to its side like it was drunk. Dandy jumped ahead just in time and the beast missed him. Lucky. But the beast had run into the rails not too far ahead and finally stopped on the grass. Soon a human walked out of the beast. He seemed to be okay and just started yelling while checking his beast's round feet. I looked at the beast. Its body had some words on it, but I couldn't read. But I had seen the sign next to it before. I used to go hunting birdies with Daddy in a place far away. It was deep inside the mountains, but on top of the hill there was a building that smells like drugs. Daddy told me that it was a hospital and it had the same sign as the one on the beast. Oh. I remembered thinking that the hospital looked a little strange. The humans inside didn't look hurt at all to me, but none of them would smile. Some of them would burst into laughter or tears all of a sudden. They all looked a little strange, not like the humans we met in the city. Humans were so strange. It was a mental hospital. Okay, that's an S. That's a B. Okay, so we take both of these, pull them over here. This is enough to get us the S rank on the cat. We can take both of those over. Wait, that changes that? It shouldn't. Okay, it still says it changes it, even though it's the same thing as before. Alright. Yeah, sure, that... Oh, that's just B again. Okay, maybe... like this? I grabbed Lieutenant Kang and tried to pull him up, but I slipped and fell too. We had to go back to the hot tub and take another bath to clean ourselves. The water was still very warm, but I was already used to the temperature after the first time. Lieutenant Kang wrapped his towel around his neck again. He didn't close his eyes this time though. He just seemed to be staring blankly ahead. It was only the two of us in the spa room. It was so quiet, again. Nothing else was in the air except the steam from the water and the awkwardness. Maybe it was my imagination, but Lieutenant Kang almost looked like a normal, accessible person for a while. I was almost going to ask him something, but eventually I decided to let it go. It was already after work, maybe I shouldn't talk about it. Nice. Done. More post.
Carlos, te extraño.
Alicia. And... oh, Jung Hyun Min again. Alright. Alicia, what happened after you escaped the facility? Hong Kong was a strange city. It was quite small, but it felt like such a big city. While it was busy and rich, there were also many poor people, including numerous homeless people wandering the streets. I'd hoped to go to America, but I ended up being kidnapped and brought to Hong Kong. I didn't have any money on me. I didn't know if I could even survive here, not to mention go to America. I began to look at the hiring flyers on the walls. Teamsters, engineers, masseurs. A lot of places were hiring, but I didn't know how to do any of the jobs. Well, what can you do? But one day, I saw that there was a nightclub looking for a pub singer. The club was called Melody Hall. It sat in the middle of the most popular location on Portland Street in Mong Kok. The club was huge and the guests were all dressed like royalty. Everyone that came to audition for the job was sitting in the lobby, waiting for their turn. Several middle-aged men were sitting below the stage looking terribly bored. I chose to sing one of my favorite songs when it was my turn. It was a folk song from my hometown. It's called Little Lamb Billy. After my parents had passed away, my brother and I were soon sent to the orphanage. For a long time afterwards, Carlos seemed to have shut down entirely. He could sit there for an entire day without saying a single word. He was only free. There was nothing near the orphanage but hills and mountains. I liked to take him hiking and would talk to him on top of the mountain or sing to him. We would stay there for a whole day sometimes. However, he still wasn't talking. One day when I was singing, I suddenly thought to myself, was this going to last forever? Would Carlos never ever talk to me again? I had to stop the song. I couldn't stop myself from thinking depressing thoughts. I cried. Why are you crying, Alicia? Carlos was pulling on my arm and I saw him looking at me with his clear eyes. That day he had finally returned to me. The song I had been singing that day was Little Lamb Billy. I stood in front of the elevator. I was thinking about the song that I had just sang, and the days when we had lived in the orphanage. I couldn't help but hum the song again. I felt a sudden tap on my shoulder. It was one of the men who had been sitting below the stage earlier. Miss, there is something that you should know. His eyes were almost shut as he smiled at me. It is quite a hassle to hire a foreigner like you who has no papers. You won't be able to find another job in all of Hong Kong. However, I think you are really terrific. I would love to hire you, as long as you... As he was speaking, his hand was moving down from my shoulder along my back, and it kept moving down even further. I was taken aback and tried to move away, but he grabbed my wrist. I had never been in a situation like this in my entire life. I was horrified. I tried to shake him off with all my strength. I scratched his face with my nails, leaving a red mark. He felt his face with his hand as I was running away. You ungrateful little bitch. You people. Go grab her. I ran into a small alley and hid behind a dumpster. After what seemed to be an eternity, I could no longer hear the people who were running after me. I fell to the ground. I felt violated and ashamed. Tears were rushing out of my eyes as if all of my suffering had come back to haunt me. Carlos, I miss you so much. Alicia. Okay. Now let's go back to the guy who is at fault every time he does anything. I'd been assigned here for a week. For the past few days I've been trying to find an opportunity to write my transfer application and submit it to Lieutenant Kang. Yet every time when I sat down and tried to fill out the form, Lieutenant Kang would throw a bunch of paperwork at me and make me file them. It was almost like he knew what I was up to. Yeah. None of this made any sense at all. As a police officer, shouldn't I be patrolling the city to stop crimes and helping people with everything I had? Even be ready to sacrifice myself for justice at a moment's notice? No. But this was so boring. Thank God I could still sometimes chat with Officer Min-jun, a more senior officer in Unit 4, or I would have exploded out of boredom by now. Usually at this point, Min-jun would say, "I'll lend you a grenade then." Min-jun liked making these kinds of morbid firearm jokes, although I rarely found them funny. Life sucked. I poured myself another glass and chucked it. I was at a bar called Crash, where I would always come whenever I was feeling down. Every day after midnight, the bar would turn into a carnival. But around sunset, the atmosphere here was actually really nice, and it was the best time to come here and drink alone. I was sitting by the window and staring at the street blankly. Some words from the conversation at the next table suddenly caught my attention. Oh God. What are you gonna do this time? A bald man in a Hawaiian shirt raised his bottle and said, "Bro, have you heard about what happened to Group Gangmun a few days ago?" His buddy, who was wearing a pair of beach shorts and sporting the most ridiculous hairstyle, laughed. "Of course, it's been heard all over our group, you saw. That was really brutal for them to blow off half the head of Choi Ho Hun's son. Only Kang Baek-ya is supposed to do that." My ears perked up when I heard Lieutenant Kang's name out of the blue like that. The bald man continued. "I think it was pretty rad. That bastard was always so fucking annoying. He would come to our turf all the time, looking for trouble just because of his good old daddy." The crazy-haired guy interrupted him. "Shut the fuck up, you idiot! Don't let anyone hear you say that. You're gonna get Boss Jew in trouble." The bald man immediately concurred. "Oh, sure. By the way, I've also heard that Choi Ho Han is setting up a trap for Kang Baek-ya. It's going to be epic." The crazy-haired guy sounded surprised. "Hey, watch it. Don't get so close to me." "Wait, what did you mean by setting up a trap?" The bald man explained. "I heard that they had something on Kang Baek-ya and they'll use it to force him to turn himself over. You can guess what they're going to do to him next. I think it's supposed to be going down tonight, over at the warehouses by the port." The crazy-haired guy didn't seem like he was buying it. "Really? You think that would work? Kang was tough enough to take out a whole team on his own." The bald man got excited. "We'll find out. Apparently they've prepared barrels and concrete, and I've heard something about some other big surprise. Anyway, no matter which side loses, our boss Joe will be happy either way. I bet he's been looking forward to this day for a long time." I sobered up completely. I quickly checked my cell phone. It was 9 p.m. Now that I thought about it, Lieutenant Kang had gotten a delivery earlier today, and he had left the office soon afterwards. Did the delivery have anything to do with the trap? I knew I didn't quite get along with Lieutenant Kang, but no matter what, he was on the side of justice. Now that I knew he was in danger, there was no way I could just sit aside and let it happen. I sneaked into the bathroom and immediately called the lieutenant. Nobody picked up. I then called the police station. Someone told me that nobody from Unit 4 was available. I had a really bad feeling. If I didn't get in touch with the lieutenant as soon as possible... The door opened and the person walked out. My reaction had been slowed down because of the alcohol. The young man who had just come out of the stall grabbed me by my hair and slammed me into the mirror above the sinks. The mirror was smashed and there was broken glass all over the ground. Just before I passed out, I heard someone say, "You dirty cop, you trying to snitch on our own turf? Screw you." When I woke up, I found myself lying in a big empty warehouse. The gate was locked from the outside. I could see the evening stars through the windows high above the wall. Oh man, how long had I been out for? Was Lieutenant Kang already at the port? Changyeon-min. Yeah, this looks like one of those letters that I have to solve another letter for Lieutenant Kang before actually being able to S-ring that. Okay. Yeah, that'll do fine. I mean, I could imagine a better scenario, but it depends on who the person was. Tapped him on the shoulder. I turned around. It was Officer Min-jun. "Thank God you're here, sir." Min-jun seemed shocked after I told him about what I had just heard outside. He said the lieutenant might still be at his own place. It wasn't too far from here. We should hurry and see if we could catch him in time. With Min-jun leading the way, we were running as fast as we could towards Lieutenant Kang's home. Then we came across a small dark alley without any lights. Min-jun seemed to be out of breath and he slowed down. He pointed at the 2-story apartment building not too far in front of us and told me that it was the lieutenant's building. I decided to keep going ahead. But before I could run more than a few steps, I suddenly felt a sharp pain on the back of my head. I felt dizzy and lost my balance. I couldn't even see the road anymore. I fell to the ground and blacked out. When I woke up, it was almost daylight. Officer Min-jun was lying next to me. Neither of us seemed to have our wallets. Oh man, how could this happen? Was Lieutenant Kang already? Actually, I'd love it if Officer Min-jun created that scenario himself. Knocked out, I forget his name all the time, orange hair guy, and then just took his own wallet, hid him somewhere, threw himself on the ground next to him, and just stayed there. Because he's a traitor. That would be cool. Someone unusually tall had just walked out of the elevator wearing an even more unusual ensemble. A pair of red high heels, a pair of tight black leather pants, a lavish fur coat. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. I walked past this person into the elevator and pressed the button for the first floor. The person kept walking into the lobby. Okay, that's an A rank for both. So what if I'll just do this? I checked the time again. It was already 9:30 p.m. It wasn't safe to go straight to the port, but as I didn't know how many people the enemy had, I hadn't received my weapon yet, as this was only my first week. It wouldn't be terribly useful for me personally, but it would still be better than nothing. I should at least go back to the station and check out a gun. Perhaps I could even find some backup. I hoped I could make it in time. I left the bar. A cold breeze blew over my face. I shuddered and felt myself sobering up a little more. I hailed a cab. I kept urging the driver to speed up. In the end, it took me 30 minutes to arrive rather than the usual 60. As soon as I opened the door, I threw up all over the ground. The old driver looked at me emotionlessly and handed me the bill and the napkin. "I just ran through 3 red lights for you. I'll give you a discount for being a police officer." "Miss, there is something that you should know." One of the men who had been sitting below the stage earlier tapped on my shoulder. His eyes were almost shut as he smiled at me. "Yep, we read through this. Not ideal. Is someone going to help me? Or help Alicia? Hey, that was embarrassing. Someone who had just got out of the elevator stood in front of me. A pair of red high heels, a pair of tight black leather pants, a lavish fur coat. If it weren't for the voice, no one would have guessed that it was a man wearing them if they saw them from behind. For the manager of Melody Hall to dare to do something like this in public, what would your big boss say if he heard about this? Fine, just not my lucky day then. The manager shot me a stern look, turned around and walked back into the lobby. The cross-dressing man turned to me, smiling wildly. Hello, pretty little girl. Would you like to go get a drink at my place? Looks good, yep. That's Frank and move.